Snap your fingers, do your step. You can do it all by yourself, babe. Oh no! This the bloopers. This the bloopers.
Yo, Tay wanted to do a buy you a drink turn up real quick, bro.
Yo, Quez. Hey, what's up to the camera, bro?
He in the store.
So that means you can't sing "Buy You a Drink" right now. All right, bro. We gonna call you. We gonna call you back, bro.
All right.
You know, sometimes it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel, cause so many things that go against us. But it's something inside our spirit that just keep us marching forward. We gon' be alright. We gon' be alright.
All right, bro. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
What's up, my brother?
What's up, Brody?
How you feeling?
Great.
Hey.
Yes, sir. I love this city, man.
Yes, sir. What's
One of
up,
my
y'all?
favorite cities.
And welcome back to another episode of my podcast, Failing Forward. This is a very special episode because I got one of my lifelong friends on here, and y'all know that I like to have like real, raw, and transparent conversations. So I'm hoping that I could bring y'all into that today. Before we get started, I want to say Happy New Year's to everybody. I don't know if the last video I put out was in the new year, but if it wasn't, Happy New Year to y'all. But also Happy Black History Month. So, I hope that y'all can, find a way in y'all respective cities, your home, your community, to just find some way to like honor Black culture and our people, whether that's like supporting a local brand or business, finding a new artist to listen to and support, whatever contribution you want to make, man. Like, just find a way to, preserve and just continue to reach down with our teaching. So I want to get right into this episode, bro.
I'm ready, bro. Let's dive into it.
We got a lot to talk about, y'all. And this episode is important because, like I said, Mike is one of my lifelong friends. And usually when people get on podcasts with their friends, they talk a lot of BS.
No,
we could do that too, but I want to be real because for us to be friends for how many years, bro? Like over a decade now?
Yeah, for sure.
There was a gap in time where we weren't speaking.
Yeah.
And how many years was that we didn't speak?
I'll say 2.5.
2.5. It felt like 5-6 years to me. That's how that
Yeah,
felt.
that's how bad it was.
Yeah. But basically, y'all, we're going to get into that later in the episode. But I think it's important for Black people in our community to see that conflict can be resolved constructively, productively, and you have to learn forgiveness. You gotta learn accountability. You gotta learn a lot of things, man. But I just felt like this episode was important, so we're gonna get right into it, y'all. But first and foremost, how you feeling, though, bro?
I feel great, bro. No lie, I'm in the A, one of my favorite cities, where my brother knew each other for the longest amount of time.
How you feel being on camera? This is your entrance into the YouTube world. YouTuber now. He a YouTuber that's
So like,
now, yo.
No lie, like normally when I'm on camera, it just be me singing and driving for the gram. My girl got me doing TikToks and shit, dancing. I can curse on it?
Yeah, you can curse.
All right. And now Tay introducing me to YouTube, so I feel a little better. Yeah. I'm still adjusting to it, kind of nervous, playing with my hands, but
you doing good though, bro.
About to break that habit, good looking.
Yeah, you
But
doing
other
good.
than that, I'm ready for it, so ready to go into it.
So what you been listening to lately before we get into the heavy stuff like music? What's in your rotation right now?
Rotation, always gotta have Drake on top of that. Favorite song right now is Treacherous Twins.
Treacherous Twins?
Yeah,
okay.
Hours of Silence. That's low-key underrated.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. As much as Tay always hit us up like, Hours of Silence, I'm like, yo, this really might be the best song.
That's a banger.
Right,
I'll put y'all on that, man.
A lot of Rod Wave.
Okay.
Cold December, one of my favorite ones. Mm-hmm. Shy Glizzy, that's my guy. Kodak, Zo shit, no whole shit,
Do you feel like the artists that you listen to in a way like reflect like your personality or like parts of yourself that like, let's say like Rod Wave, he make like a lot of sad music. Like, do you feel like you relate to that? That's why you like listening to him a lot?
Sometimes. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I feel like Rod Wave is one of those ones where like he had me think about a lot of stuff that like Tombstone, for example, like him saying.
That's one of my favorite songs by Rod Wave.
Yeah, like how make sure you put I'm the realest on my tombstone. Like when they bury me, I'm just like, yo, that's deep. Like I feel that way. In terms of Kodak, I just like how raw and how blunt he is. Like he don't care what he's saying, but it's just like it makes sense too at the same time. Drake is just Drake. It's just like he he just talked that shit that people could just relate to.
It's relatable. He relate to everybody.
And Shy Glizzy, I've just always been rocking with him. So it's just like...
I feel like Shy Glizzy is the part of you that's like, when you get in your element, let's say like, you get a drink in you, or let's say you around all your loved ones and your family, or let's say you dress good, you got a haircut, you feel good. I feel like Shy Glizzy, that's the move.
Yeah.
For me, bro, you know, like, above all, like, Nip, I'm a huge, like, Nip fan. Like, if y'all come to my crib, you gonna see paintings, you gonna see clothes. I got something every day with me that, like, is reminiscent of Nip. And for me, it's not really, it is the music, but I don't really feel like Nip is like I don't want to say he's not a great rapper.
It was
lyricist. It's more so he's like a motivational.
The impact he had on the culture.
Like it's kind of like, it's like it'd be like speeches, but it'd be like a rap. And I feel like when I listen to it, like I learn something new every time that I could kind of like apply to my life. So I feel like the nerd in me, I listen to Nip for that. But I think like Kodak definitely one of my favorite artists. I think Kodak is Gemini.
Yeah, so y'all relate.
We a little crazy. Like we got multiple personalities, so like y'all probably gonna learn more about me in this episode than y'all ever have, because you know me real best. But to the world, I feel like I try to just be like very polished. But I admire Kodak just because like we all got that craziness in us.
Yeah, that.
And he like live in it.
Yeah.
He, like,
so he's doing it for you in a
Yeah.
way like, I know I can't show my ass as much as Kodak
So I
is.
can live through him.
Yep.
Some of the stuff he be saying, like, it sounds crazy, but to me, I be like, I wish I could say that. So definitely, Yak. As of late, recently, I've been listening to NBA YoungBoy a lot.
Oh yeah,
I don't know why, but I feel like it's like that pain. Like, you know how some people might listen to Rod Wave because he definitely like...
It's sad.
Yeah,
sad
and it's not even like sad. I think he just expressed how he feel.
Yeah.
But with NBA YoungBoy, I like how the way he expressed himself because I feel like I can relate to a lot of it. Like
I could agree to that.
It's like raw pain, and I feel like I'm the type of person it take a lot for me to show
like how sadness. You feeling. Yep.
Yeah, so like I feel like the way NBA YoungBoy do it, it kind of is like I feel like I got that in me too, like that anger. Like
yeah, that. And like in one interview, he did say like the only way he releases that or he expresses himself is through the music.
Right.
So I feel like that's like same thing you saying. It's like when you listen to it, it's just like, all right, now all my expressions is out because I listened to him. So. And
then I'll say lastly, like I've been listening to Babyface Ray a lot lately, and I feel like I relate to Babyface Ray because I'm definitely a player. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like I'm smooth.
I like that spend it.
Yeah, I'm smooth. So I ain't gonna lie. I'm not saying like a player like. You know, I'm getting around and stuff. I'm more saying like just keeping it P, like at all times, like being smooth. Like I'm very like laid back. I always know what to say, so I'm super witty, especially when it come around women, and I'm not afraid. So like I feel like Babyface Ray, he just be talking like it just be like some smooth like player stuff, and I feel like I can relate to it. Like so that's what I've been listening to lately, man. What you been watching? Like what shows are your rotation?
Right now. My girl and I just finished Jenny in Georgia. Okay. But I'm more like, if I do turn on the TV, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm more like a First 48, sports.
So you a mix between like
crime shows and like sports. Other than that, I don't really do
watch TV.
How about you?
I ain't really been watching TV like that, bro. Like I was a big Power fan, so I like action and like action cinema and stuff like that. That's like my favorite genre. Like. When it comes to actors, I love like John Wick type of movies or like Taken.
Oh yeah,
those type of genres. Like, but my favorite show of all time is like Power. Like Omari Hardwick, Tariq. Like I'm calling him Tariq.
Like that's
not even his name, but basically like that show. Like, that's one of the only shows I ever was like addicted to.
Yeah, I can admit to that too. Like I feel like Power from the rip. It was just like. That was one of those ones where I had to watch it just to like, and even after the season end, I'll just go back to watch it because
I want to go back and like watch it from the beginning, but for some reason it's like I can't
because you know the story now, so it's hard.
It's interesting to watch it back.
Facts,
but I hold on to like
some memories of it.
Memories of it, like that show is really crazy. So now I'm looking forward to the spinoffs and all that. I be trying to get into BMF, but honestly speaking, bro, I'm an outlier on this. I don't feel like BMF is like. That good as like we making it seem as a culture.
Honestly, I could agree to that. Like when I watch BMF, it's just like at first I started watching it late, right before season 2 came out. So I'm just like, oh shit, this is good. But now as season 2's on, it's like I be stalling. Like they be like, "You ready to watch?" I be like, "No."
Yeah.
Like
I feel like a low budget movie.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Shout out to BMF though, because 2 of my guys are actually a part of the cast. Shout out to my boy Fel, and then shout out to Shalom. I think he's making his guest appearance this week. Shalom was on my podcast.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, Fel, my homie.
Shout out to you too.
Shout out to Shalom. But outside of that, bro, like tell the people who you are, like how we met, you know, where you come from, whatever you want the people to know about you. Tell them.
All right, my name Mike Eugene.
Not the government.
Listen, you said me wrong. So my name Mike. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. Moved to Philadelphia at the age of 8. Moved straight to Southwest Philly. Over on 71st Street side. I met DeMonte 7th grade at Pepper Middle School.
Yeah.
And then it's like that year, like I knew who he was because like we would like play basketball outside, football before going to school. 8th grade, we were in the same class, B38. And then that's when I just realized like, all right, this guy's like a character. Like it was like, see, most people don't know Tay. It's just like in class, you would get the class clown, the funny Tay, always bitten. But outside, it was just like, oh, like, you know, you really cool as hell for real. Like, you cool, stuff like that. And then I feel like once we got into high school is when we got close as hell. Like, I'm saying like every day after school, we at Mike crib, we playing ball. He taught me how to play ball, honestly. So, yeah. I got a brother, older brother, shout out to him too. I feel like my older brother definitely molded me in a lot of ways on how to prepare to be a man in this world. I look up to my brother, I ain't gonna lie. He's a great father figure to my nieces and my nephew.
Jared he's a great father, bro. I really admire like the way he holding it down with them. So, he's doing a good job.
I'll say, I tell a lot of people I was raised by my stepfather, but I call him my biological dad because of the amount of times he was always with us. Been with me since I was 3 years old in New York. Moved us to Poughkeepsie because of work, and then from Poughkeepsie we came to Philly. And then my mom too, like that's my whole heart, like my everything, my best friend.
Shout out to Missy Rose, man.
Yeah, I love my mom like to the death of me. My first tat, all of that right on the rib, like love my mom. So
Mike is a certified mama's boy. If he came out with an album, that's what he's gonna be called. He big Drake fan and he love his mom. Certified mama boy.
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna give a shout out to my girl, Lex, like always pushing me through, always motivating me. I feel like sometimes like when I look in the mirror, I'm at where I'm at now because of her. And then also James and Tay, like James, my best friend, always with me. Like I could call him like, yo, I'll go through shit. Same thing with Tay, he my best friend. Like, and I don't even like saying y'all my best friends for real. I'll say like y'all my brothers too. Like I feel like y'all my mom's kids as much as like my mom know, like she'd be like, as long as you with Tay or James, I know you safe. Like no matter what. So, and our families know each other. So that's how I feel like y'all brothers for real. Yeah.
And I feel like Mike just gave like an understatement, y'all, of like his personality. And I'm gonna ask y'all to bear with me. This episode gonna be hard for me, y'all. It's gonna be hard because we got so much history. It's not too often you get to like have like a real and meaningful conversation with like one of your friends. Like even you just saying what you said, bro. I'm still learning about you. Like I ain't know Manu was with y'all from that young, or like I ain't know that y'all lived in Poughkeepsie. Like, I didn't know that. So I'm just asking y'all as the viewers, y'all gotta bear with me on this episode, y'all. This is gonna be a lot for me, but like I said, I think Mike understated, you know, his personality, like his values, like just not like a regular guy that you come across. And I feel like that's gonna be like illuminated like more and more throughout the episode. But I wanna ask you, bro, like from the time that we met in like middle school, it don't have to be about us in particular, but like what's some of your most memorable experiences from like growing up in Southwest, Pepper? Like it could be good or bad.
Shit, growing up in Southwest, I would say it was great, man. Of course, you know, like we played ball. It was like the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I felt like I was becoming more of myself, like coming outside. Like, and I felt like I found myself because living in New York, it was like, okay, like our first crib, we lived here for a year and then we moved.
Right.
Then when we got to our second crib in Brooklyn, we lived there for like 2 years and then we moved to Poughkeepsie. So I never had friends.
Right.
So like once I moved to Philly, and my pop made it like, yo, this is like permanent and stuff like that. Like we gonna stay here because my grandma ended up like getting sick too, so we stayed a little longer in Philly. So I was just like, all right, cool. So that's the longest time I had a school, longest time I had like I could really like connect and make friends. So I realized like, all right, cool, like I could fuck with it. Growing up in Southwest, it was fun. I felt like I then started knowing like where I grew up at, it was a different side of Southwest too.
Right.
So like, you know what I mean? So it was like where I grew up at in Southwest, I knew like if I crossed a certain block or something, the dynamic, the neighborhoods changed completely. So I had to adapt to that too. So it's like, I can't go over there acting all scary, but I can't go in there acting all tough either because I'm like out of my hood. But I feel like being in school, knowing people and stuff like that, like it just came natural after a while.
And I think like, I ain't recognize like how much like growing up in Southwest like shaped us and like how much we experienced, but like we was the type of kids, yo, like we was outside. Like when I say like outside, I mean like after school, me and Mike was linking up and I might not get home till like 10 o'clock because I was in between Southwest and also Sharon Hill. Not a lot of people knew that about me, so it was out the district. So like a lot of times I'll be linking up with Mike till like 8 o'clock or whatever the case may be. And then I gotta take a bus and a trolley just to get back to the crib at the end of the night. And sometimes like our school trains passes ran out at 6 o'clock. So like if I'm staying out past that boundary, sometimes Mike would like give me a ride. Well, we would walk home. And then so Mike would walk me like a third of the way home, and it's far from his crib, and he would walk back by himself. But that's just how we was as brothers. It's like you're not going nowhere by yourself. Like we always gonna look out for each other. But we had a regular like childhood. I'm actually glad that we grew up in the area that we lived in because we actually was outside, bro. Like whether it's playing basketball, learning how to talk to girls, what we did so much stuff, bro. Even just chilling after school, just playing the game and like freestyling, or the conversations that we had going to Mike's kitchen, Ray in the kitchen after school, getting his mom used to have the Lorna Doone cookies,
Oreos, all that. Right.
Mike used to make these egg salad sandwiches all the time. Not tuna, y'all. Egg salad sandwiches. His mom used to cook a lot of Haitian food. Mike is Haitian. If you want to flex the French real quick, it was a.
Going at if you was a Kenba guy, if you go them.
Oh, the way you say it,
y'all, and basically what I said was, if y'all need anything, just come my way and I got y'all for sure. So,
but stuff like that, like, I really got introduced to like Haitian culture through Mike. The only word I know how to say is belle, y'all, because I wanted to know how to call a girl pretty, beautiful. So Mike taught me that. But we had a good childhood, man. And off the record, before we got on the camera, you said something about Pepper. I feel like that's really when life started. Like when I think about when life started and my development as a man and just as a person, I really think Pepper was like, like when you talk about the dynamic of the neighborhood changing, I think that was because I went to a charter school downtown. Like, well, I went to Catherine and my grandma didn't want me to go to Pepper for middle school, so she put me in. Well, I got kicked out of. Well, she put me in a charter school, then I got kicked out, and I had to come right back to the hood to go to Pepper. And I could say, like, that's like Mike said, that's where we met. We wasn't like the greatest of friends that time, but like we was very familiar with each other. We used to see each other around. But like, what would you say your experience at Pepper was, bro?
It was two sides. So I'll say the first side would be where I was cool, relaxed. I had my friends. I know who to go to every day on a day-to-day basis. And then there was the other side where it was like, I had to be tough. Where somebody say something to me, I would have to either stand up for myself or, you know, at that time it was like bullied and stuff like that. And it's like once you get put out as like, yo, this was like he a nut, like he ain't gonna do nothing. You pretty much done at Pepper because it was like separated boys and girls, but you know, like that's like showing dominance in a way. So
and also y'all, like our school was the school that like, let's say kids that got out of juvie or like placements. When they got out of those placements, they came to our school, and it was like a neighborhood school, so they basically had to accept everybody. So like, it's a big school, it's thousands of kids. We separated, the whole building is separated from boys and girls. So we only see girls in the morning
and after school.
Unless we have some type of like event in the auditorium or something like that. That's when we would see girls, and we kind of would go crazy. But like, for me, bro, like, it's actually funny that we having this conversation because like, before we got on camera, you said something like, I don't like show like how I really like feel a lot of times.
Oh yeah,
and
that's one thing about Tay. Like Tay would never show his emotions in a way.
Yeah,
like I feel like when he do show it, that's when he's like about to like open up and be like about to pour it out. So.
Yeah, like it got to reach my breaking point,
Thanks.
like it's to the point where I can't hold it no more. But like that's actually funny that we having this conversation because I feel like a lot of the characteristics that I have now, bro, that I don't necessarily like the most about myself, I feel like they originated from when I was in Pepper. And I say that, y'all, because that was a point in my life, like I'm a teenager, I'm in middle school now, and now it was kind of like, when I went to Pepper, I felt like this was like me being like thrust into the world, like, yo, you out here on your own now, like, especially not having a dad in the household, I don't have no older brother. The stuff that we got exposed to in that school, bro, like you said, it's like, once they feel like you show any sign of weakness, you're gonna have to keep
on it, so.
Like proving yourself over and over again. So for me, bro, like being a light-skinned guy with freckles, I felt like I always was like a target of people like target. And my mouth didn't help it because I had a big mouth, but I felt like I always had to just prove myself like over and over again. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I come from a West African household. So my grandmother is Liberian and Sierra Leonean. So I'm being raised under West African ideals, but I'm born in America. So a lot of times, like, I'm trying to negotiate that as a kid. Like, I'm American. My grandma is African. She raising us in this African culture. I didn't necessarily always feel accepted because I'm telling people I'm African, but I'm light skinned, and I'm like, people when they see me, they be like, you white? Or like, what you mixed with or something? I'm like, I'm African. They're like, what? So it's like constantly having to prove that. And then y'all like being in the black community, like colorism is a big thing. So being light skinned, that's used as like an offense. Like you acting light skinned, that basically means like you being emotional, you soft. So it's not like a good thing. Like, and if you dark skinned, it's kind of like you automatically tough or whatever the case may be. So not to toot my own horn, not only I'm light skinned, I'm okay looking guy. So I feel like when I was in middle school, a lot of times, and just growing up, I don't want to say it was like jealousy or whatever the case may be, but like it's kind of like when a girl, let's say you have a daughter, she has beautiful hair, she's pretty, she's quiet, and girls mess with her at school just for the simple fact that she has long hair and the other girls might not have long hair or whatever the case may be. It's kind of like a situation like that. Like I feel like I always had to like prove myself and like respond to stuff. And at middle school at the time, because that was like my first encounters with that, I don't think I responded to a lot of situations in a way that I would have. Because you wasn't prepared for it too. I wasn't prepared. Like I never had no man in the household. I grew up with my grandma and all my aunts, and I was sheltered. So I'm going to church. But it's like once I got kicked out of that school, it's like that window of protection that I had, it was gone. So like it's like I felt like I had to become a man at Pepper. And like I said, I don't think I responded to a lot of situations in the ways that I wanted to, in terms of like bullies or whatever the case may be. I used to be, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro, like I used to be a little scared to fight. Like I used to like nervous, like I'm like, damn, like I don't even want to rumble, like, cause I ain't see the, like that's not my natural thing, bro.
Like to resolve everything. And I feel like at Pepper, it was a lot of that. It was just like, the minute you look at somebody wrong, it's like, oh, throw your shit up. And it's just like, whoa.
As somebody that was like sheltered, bro, I grew up in the hood, but I'm like I said, I'm going to church school.
And we never had to really fight in the hood because we knew like everybody there. So it was just like, we friends, so why you gonna fight? But at Pepper, it was different. It was just
your friend might fight you. And then like, y'all probably heard Zach Randolph say, in my hood, even the bullies got bullied. Like that's how Pepper was. Like nobody was the top dog because it always was somebody that was on top of that person. So the best thing to do is just kind of like fall in line, like get in where you fit in. So like I said, like with that mentality, like going into high school, we went to a small high school. That's where me and Mike really became friends because it's almost like, you know, when you go to high school, it's like
you gonna see people who you know.
Yeah, you trying to find your space and carve out your friend group. So we already had that association. Like, oh, we knew each other since middle school. So we wasn't friends then, but we about to be tight now. So I think going into high school, I reflected a lot on my experiences in middle school, and I ain't want that reputation no more of being like oh, he light skinned, he might be soft or whatever the case may be. I don't even know if people thought that about me, but I'm just reflecting on myself and how I would have liked to respond to certain situations. And I became like a whole different monster. Like, I ain't gonna say, like, I was different. I'll let you share yours. When did you notice the change in me, bro, from that time? Like, what did you notice or see in me from middle school to high school?
From middle school, I felt like the transition was maturity a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like now that we was back in classes with girls, it went from like, all right, like, I know I can't act too much of a fool because if I really like this girl, she probably go crazy. Like she gonna be like, why he act like that or something. So I feel like that was one thing.
Yeah.
Another would be like being more vocal too.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's when you start opening up and expressing like,
I did.
All right, well I got an opinion on this, or like sharing your actual thoughts. So I feel like that was like the biggest one too. So
no, I agree, and I feel like because motivation was so small, our incoming class had to be like what, 70 students, if that.
If that.
I think our school had like 300-400 kids as a whole. So
no,
like,
we only had 270.
270?
270.
That's how small our school was, yo. So I felt like I kind of came in, and the attention that I was instantly granted freshman year, it kind of like made my head like a little big. Like I'm coming into high school, y'all. Sophomores, juniors, and seniors, girls, they giving me attention like instantly. I make the basketball team as a freshman. I think me and Deshaun was the only two freshmen at the time that made the basketball team. I'm tall, and then I kind of got like popular like real fast. So I felt like the pressures that I felt in middle school, I ain't really feel that pressure no more. I kind of felt like I was kind of like one of the top dogs like instantly. So with that, it breeded like a lot of like arrogance, and I don't think I was like my real self like a lot of times. I think like at that was like an experiential time period of my life where I was really trying to explore my identity and like who I wanted to be. And I think I made a lot of messes that I didn't know that I was making in that time period. But I also think like on an even deeper level, bro, like cause you know me at the core, I think Mike saw a different me than like people saw like at school. Would you say that? Like
I could. Like I feel like at school, like you said, I feel like that popularity and that ego was getting to you to the point where it's like you was one way in school, and then outside of school was just like, all right, just snap back into like.
So if you could describe it, bro, like be real, like what did it look like in school, and then what did it look like out of school? What would you notice the difference?
So I would say in school you tend to be a little more like distant, like you would try to be like, all right, y'all, like I'll catch up with y'all later.
Yeah.
And then when you needed something, it's like you would swing back around.
Yeah.
But outside of school, that's when you would be like, man, like that's where you be expressing like, I ain't like that. This happened today.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't get why so-and-so keep happening to me and I'm on the ball team, so it's not fair. Or like you would think teachers is picking on you, and the whole time it's because you really bringing the attention to you.
Right.
So it's just
not
like,
even realize.
And then, because you didn't realize it, it was hard for you to like understand it, because at that point it's just like, we automatically just play victim. It was just like, nah, but they only picking on me, or it's happening to just me. Yeah. And I feel like throughout high school, you started to realize like, all right, like I'm the problem, but I'm just gonna end up being the real me. So
right, and I think, bro, like, damn, that's really how you felt. Like I used to be like, I'll see y'all later.
Like this, at times you would be distant, You
know, looking back on that time, bro, I felt like this is what my thinking. I think it was probably kind of shallow. But I felt like the attention I was kind of like getting from like girls and like all that stuff that made my ego like real big. I feel like it's almost like I felt like I had to hang with like people that was popular, or like other people that was like cool
on that level.
No, I feel you. And I knew who my real friends were, but it was like to survive at school in that environment. Like I felt like that's what I had to be, and it wasn't like a conscious thing I was doing. Like,
but the crazy thing is, I think that you felt to realize was that those people knew who your real friends were too. Right. Because it was oftentimes where like everybody knew, like if anybody would want to find DeMonte, they just go, Mike, where's DeMonte? James, where's DeMonte? Whereas, you know, when people was looking for Mike or James, it would be like the same thing on your end. So I felt like when he was becoming distant, it was only because like you wanted to prove a point,
right.
But at the same time, you still was like hanging with us, still like lunches and stuff like that.
How did you feel about that, bro? Like, how did you feel during that time, genuinely speaking?
I felt like I accepted it because I seen what was developing. Yeah. Like I was just like, and at that time I was doing my own thing anyway too. Whereas I just knew like, I know like come lunch, Tay gonna turn up with us. Yeah. Or I just knew like certain times when to like mess with you and stuff, and then certain times where I'm just going like, yeah, I'm gonna do my own thing and this, go to this group.
And like I could look back, like I said, bro, I wasn't intentionally doing any of that. I think like looking back, bro, why that attention was so like important to me at that time period, bro. Like, you know, my upbringing. Yeah. So like a lot of people don't know this about me, and I think Mike found that out as he got to know me a lot more. Like, I don't know, I didn't know my parents at that time period. Like, I wasn't close with my mom and dad. I wasn't close with my siblings. Like I said, I'm growing up estranged from like my real fam. My grandmother is my real family, but like your birth parents, like I was estranged from them. So like growing up, I always felt like an outcast. Like I'm not African enough, or like I'm black, but I'm light skinned, so I'm not black enough. So it always was this thing of like just me trying to negotiate. Like, damn, like I just want to fit in, just like
who am I?
Else. Yeah, like who am I? When I go to school, damn, Mike got his mom. Najee got a mom and dad. They got kids. They got a house. They play. He got the Wii, Xbox, all this fun stuff. Mike got the Xbox. Oh, Tim got his mom. Like, where the hell is my mom and dad? Yeah. Like, and my grandma was strict, y'all. It wasn't like a household where she was gonna stroke your ego or coddle you. Like Mike would tell you, it was some times where like I had a little bit more freedom than other people, but I think it was because I was so rebellious that I kind of like willed like stuff to happen. Like if I had to bring Mike for my grandma to meet him so she could talk to him and learn her character, like it took me trying to force the boundaries so much to get freedom. Yeah. But y'all, I think like on a deeper level, and you don't notice as a teenager, like the love and attention that was the first time I felt like that in my whole life.
You were actually getting it, like
I was accepted. I felt like that was like love at the time.
And people was just stroking your ego too, so it made it worse. Like everybody like, oh, Devontae this, Devontae that. So he just like felt it.
I felt the love. It's like, oh, you tall. At the time we freshmen, I come into high school, I'm like, what, 6 feet or 5'11" at the time?
Yeah, no, I'll say 6 feet because I was like 5'10".
I'm like 6 feet coming into college, so I'm taller than a lot of people in my class. I'm light skinned, freckles, and people used to say, oh, you look exotic or whatever. So like my appearance, it drew like a lot of attention. So I think like hearing all these things, like how great you are, especially if you ain't grow up hearing that type of stuff, it's going to like change you as a person. And I think, like I said, in middle school, like I wasn't like bullied like on a regular basis. It's some kids that got like bullied every day. We was good. I had like friends that was cool and stuff like that, but of course it was times that I was bullied and I felt like I couldn't be like my real like fullest self. So coming into high school,
and no guy was gonna be like, yo, Jay, like, because we use it with all guys, so nobody gonna be like on your head like that.
Yeah. Bro. So it's like when I got to high school, like all of that really like changed. And I guess like going into college, you know, I didn't end up graduating from that school. Of course, like I spent my freshman, sophomore, and junior year at Motivation. That was our high school. Then I transitioned to FLC because I got an opportunity to play basketball at another high school, and I left. But from 9th grade to, let's say 12th grade, me and Mike was like, we was like this, like, and I think like what drew me to Mike was like the love that I thought was getting from like all of those people. His love was like the realest love that I ever like experienced. Like to this day, like when Mike see me or greet me, like I talked about this on the podcast before, but y'all didn't know who he was. Like he greet me in the biggest, most meaningful way. Like he either gonna run to me and give me a hug, or he yelling, "Demonte!" like, and like that was like different for me. And I honestly don't think I deserved I do think I deserved a person like Mike, but I would say the way that I was carrying myself when I was younger, I may not have deserved like how good of a friend you were. No, but I just feel like Mike was like, he was consistent. That's one thing I'll say about Mike. He's super consistent. He's the type of person, you know, he gonna show up for you every single day, and he gonna make sure that you good and have like everything that you need at all the time. So like going to Mike's house after school, it was like a safe haven, and like the love and warmth that his mom, Mike's mom was strict too, but he had more freedom than me, I would say. So like I think the love, safety, and warmness that his mom gave him, he was able to like reciprocate that outward to like our school environment. So like every day, I remember my grandma ain't give me an allowance in high school. Like I ain't have an allowance, so we had vending machines in our school. Everybody that know me, y'all, they know I love golden Oreos. Yo, I love Oreos, period. So like, it costs $1. I'm like, yeah, I don't even got $1 in high school. So like, Mike used to come to school. He had G-Shock. His mom used to get his clothes from Macy's, so he always had Polo Ralph Lauren school shirts with the cargos and some fresh sneaks. My sneaks was always good, but I got my uniforms from Old Navy, so it wasn't Macy's. But Mike used to have the money every day. So I used to be like, Mike, yo, can I get $1 to get Oreos? He'd give me $1 every time. Like he never questioned it. Like he never was like, no, he never was like, why? It was always, I give $1. If he didn't have a full $1, he'd be like, Tay, I got 50 cents. If that was his last 50 cent or 15 cent, he would give it to me so I could get the Oreos or whatever the case may be. And it's even deeper than that, like sharing clothes. Like I said, my grandma was so strict, y'all, that I couldn't play sports in middle school. Like, I couldn't do a lot of the stuff I wanted. I did play basketball and tennis, but if y'all knew the talks that was going on in my household to force that to happen, bro, like we literally had to beg my grandma to let us play sports. So I think like when me and Mike used to hoop after school, all the basketball shorts I had from, let's say, high school to going into college, all of the basketball shorts I had was Mike's. I never bought no basketball shorts. I had LeBron basketball shorts. It was my favorite shorts, the black and red. They was all Mike's. He had a polo hoodie. You know the polo hoodies was big at the time. And the Scully, Mike had that in middle school. I ain't have that. Mike used to let me wear the polo hoodie to school. He never said it. It got to a point, I think I wore it so long that Mike was like, bro,
just keep
like,
that,
you can keep that, Joe. Like, you can have it. So like, that's how deep our friendship was. And I realized it seemed like at that time period, bro, like I was like, take. Do you feel like it was anything that I was giving or that you was receiving from our relationship?
Honestly, not really, bro. Like, I feel like the misconception was like people looked at you like you had the freedom and stuff like that. And like you said, they didn't know what was going on behind closed doors.
Right.
Because I knew what was going on, I kind of just was like, yeah, like, you know, you needed like somebody who did that support system. So at times it was like, all right, like it'd be times where Tay would stay at the crib for so long. I'd be like, yo, like Tay not leaving yet, so something must be going on at home for him not to go home. And it even got to a point, like, you know, my mom peeped, like it was times where my mom at one point started making like big pots of rice so big so she could like feed, like I'm talking like when people came over after school, me, Tay, Rel, James, we all had a plate to eat. And then right before Tay would leave,
got to go play.
Yeah, like my mom would be like, hey Tay, come here real quick. And like she would just act like she calling Tay to take out the trash. She would pack up his bag with like a to-go plate, some more cookies and stuff like that. So like she never really, like, you know, we never really spoke on it like to Tay, but at the same time it was always one of those ones where I feel like I know the position, like I'm fortunate to like, or to give. And I always want that for like people. Like if I could give, I'm giving every single time because I know God is gonna bless me, bless our family bigger, and then
it's crazy, like, cause y'all hearing this story, like, it's not like my family was poor, y'all. Like,
they not poor at all.
I came to school with nice sneakers and nice stuff a lot of times, but it's more so the fact it's like cultural differences. Like my grandmother, when I was in high school, y'all, like, she got cancer at that time, so like my grandmother was the breadwinner of our family. Like I'm always used to her like working and stuff like that. So like when she went down,
impact. I know. No. Like, for those who don't know, like Tay grandma really raised them. Amazing woman. I looked at her like my own grandma, like holidays. So like during the holiday season, my mom, she never would be in America at that time. So like a lot of people that don't know this, but during high school, my mom would leave just me and my brother in the crib from like October to March. So like Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, we were missing that. So, and this is why I say my brother really molded me, because at that time, my mom and my dad was working on a business, working on building a house back home in Haiti. So, like, come Thanksgiving, Tay, grandma would just call me, like, Mike, come over, come eat. Christmas, I knew I had a gift coming in.
I love Mike. Like,
yeah, like,
my mom asked about Mike
all the time.
Like, to her deathbed. Like, that's how much she liked him.
It was just like, and that's why I say, like, I would never consider, like, James or Tay, like, my friends. Like, they, my brothers, for real. So, and even Steve, too. I meant to shout Steve out, too, in the beginning. Shout out to you, too, Steve. Like, you know I love you, bro. So, and Zay, too. So, it's just like, they really my brothers. So, it's just like, at the end of the day, whatever they need, I was always willing to be there no matter what. So, and I know Tay family, like, all through all my friendships and stuff, I'll say Tay and James, like, family, I'm, like, closest to them. And Zay family, too, like, the Palmers. So, it was just like, that group right there was always, like, the ones I was always drawn to. Because, like, Zay Pop, too, or Zay Mom would be like, Mike, come over for Thanksgiving. Tay Grandma would call me. James' mom would always have a plate ready for me. Sometimes Steve would bring over a plate, so I knew I was going to eat, but it didn't hit the same. And I finally felt like how you felt, where it was like, I'm coming home to emptiness because my mom not there. When I was going through it at school, I couldn't vent to my mom or nothing. So at that time, I looked at it like, all right, well, I could do what I want. Yeah. And it didn't feel good. Like, it really didn't. I felt like I lost structure when she was gone. So it was just like, what do I do when my mom not here? But once she came back, I felt like my life, the pieces was falling. Yeah.
When I used to be at Mike's house, yo, like, it almost was like, I don't want to say like we was like raising ourselves at certain points, but like I said, my grandma went down like sickness. And at that time period, I felt like I had so much freedom. So all the strictness and all that I used to hate, it like went away. And what I thought I was enjoying so much, like, I didn't know that Mike and his family made that assessment that like, yo, this kid, like, he's in need of like attention, like love, and like support. Like, I'm the type of kid, y'all, that like on senior night for basketball, like, I walked down the aisle by myself. Like, everybody had their parents, and I walked down the aisle with 2 cheerleaders and my coach. And I'll never forget that day, but like, my life was like hard, y'all. So I think like not a lot of people knew that. Like, some people might have thought like I was like a jerk or like an asshole at that time period of my life. And I think a lot of it was like, that was my defense mechanism from like facing like how I genuinely felt like lost. And for the first time in my life when I was in high school, because of whatever privilege I had, like, I felt like I was like somebody, and I felt like I was like important for the first time. And because of that, I may have like latched on to Mike because his family was just like so pure and like so like giving, you know what I'm saying? So that's high school era us. And then, you know, we had a period of like falling out. And I would say like, what would you say like provoked that falling out? And also like, if you just share your point of view on it.
On the fallout, I forgot what the situation was, honestly. But at that time, I had no voice. So, and with me saying that was, Tay did something that really annoyed me, but I didn't know how to say it. Yeah. So instead of going to Tay, I went to James, I went to my brother, and then my brother and James called Tay. And it was like a 3-way line. Yeah. So I'm on the phone, and, you know, James, Richard, they going in. And then Tay was like, Mike, this is how you really feel? And I said, yes. And then, like, after I said, yeah, I kind of, like, just faded back away from the conversation and let them handle it. But one thing I realized at that moment was because I never told DeMonte how I felt, he never knew. So everything,
never knew that was hurting him.
Everything that he thought, like, was so accepting, he never knew, like, damn, Mike felt this way.
The whole time.
So, and it wasn't more like, so, like, I didn't care about, like, whatever, like, the take stuff that Tay was saying earlier. I forgot what the situation was, but I think at that point, that's when
you told me before, like, when we made up, like, you felt like you used to be the butt, like, of a lot of my jokes.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. Like, I think, like, I always felt like Tay would, like, try to play me, like, while he was with his popularity crowd. And then, like I said, like people knew I was his real friend, so I would just like chuckle, whatever. I'll be like, yeah, whatever, Tay, like you got it, whatever. Yeah. And then afterwards, it was just like people would be like, Mike, if Tay your best friend, why do he do this to you?
Right.
And honestly, like it was just kind of like I didn't know what to say, so I'll just be like, I know what it is. Like me and Tay just playing. So then after school, like when we go back to my crib, instead of me addressing it or saying something, it just go right back to like us just chilling at the crib, and Tay had no thought.
I never knew.
Yeah, so it was just
I never
like
knew the impact that like I was like having on him. And when they called me that day, I felt like I was being like ambushed.
Yeah.
Like I was being like bombarded. Like it was so many people like yelling at me and like telling me like what I was doing wrong at once. And I was like at a loss for words because this is somebody I spent like, I'm saying like, if it's 7 days in a week, I was with him like 5 or 6 days out of the week. Like it had to be something going on. He had to go on vacation. Something had to happen to where I wasn't at his house. And I think like I said, like James is also one of my best friends. I knew James before him. Me and James been friends since the third grade. Yeah. His parents, he's Liberian as well, so his parents was strict. Like to hang out with James, he couldn't even come off the stoop.
Porch, yeah.
We had to go to his stoop and play outside while he watched us play and yelled to him from the street. Like imagine tossing the football and saying, James, we had to toss it on his porch. Like he'd catch the football and throw it back to us because that's how strict Liberian and West African households they can be. But I think because of my ways, James is also like very like introverted. I'm a mixture. I could be very introverted and I also could be very extroverted depending on the setting. At school, I was very extroverted. So I think that isolated James, and I didn't know that either. And I think that's when I saw James get a lot closer to Mike. It was almost like they got closer through, I don't want to say like a shared hate of me, but it was almost like just a dissatisfaction, and I saw them kind of get closer.
I wouldn't say that. I would say like me and James got closer because we related more. Like James, like I feel like at times like James is so like to himself that like because I'm like extra and goofy and stuff, I would do something dumb. Yeah. I'm kind of like James music in a way. Yeah. Like I'm expressing how James really want to be. Yeah. And then James will just laugh and be like, "Yo, you draw," or like. But that's like to him is really funny. So. Yeah. I felt like once James like
that was a dope way you just put that. You said James music.
Like I was James music. Like you know how like before we say like why you listen to Rod Wave?
Ah, that's fire.
Yeah, bro. So that was. So I would feel like the stuff that I was doing or saying, like me and James, like James would be like, yeah, bro, like, and I feel like besides you, James also know my mindset. Like it's times where like to everybody else, it's like I'm playful, I'm goofy. I don't know what's going on, but behind closed doors, when we on the phone, when we link up talking, like y'all see how I am, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's smart, Mike. So at that time, James knew what was going on, and that's when me and James started clicking too. So I just felt like after that, like me and James started getting closer because it was just like, it was some things that from James that I wanted, like his maturity, like how he just stayed to himself.
James is the most mature
out of everybody, like
all our friends, man, like.
So,
but this makes me think though, Mike, because I didn't give myself enough credit where I did describe like what I took from you, but I do think I gave you a lot too in that time frame, Mike, because I think you benefited a lot from.
I was gonna speak on that, but so one thing I could say Tay gave me was from that situation. I'm happy that we brought that up, and this is where I was gonna give you yours at was Tay gave me the fact that I had to take accountability.
I'm talking about way even before that, bro. I'm talking about in high school. I do think.
Oh yeah,
I think like you benefited from being my friend in ways that you probably didn't see, but I think.
I would say I sure did. Like in ways, it was like I ain't gonna lie. I started getting the chicks because they was like, oh yeah, you Tay man. You mean so like if Tay was dealing with a group of friends, at least one friend had like I always had one, no matter what.
I think more so too, bro. I think
coaches,
like, toughness as a person, bro. I think at that time you was very much like a mama's boy. And I think, like hanging around me, like we got tougher from.
Facts.
We was kind of like tackling life together, and I think I always been driven, motivated. I always been courageous and bold, and just a leader. That's one thing I never was afraid of. Like when I got to high school, yo, like I said, I came in and I really treated it like
I'm just gonna run this shit.
This is home. And I think in a way, bro, I do think you like admired that. And I think over the years, you kind of found your voice and seeing me.
Yeah, because I started leading in like different ways of my life too. So it was just like, I could say that too. Like I did grab some characteristics, especially on the court. Like I used to just like be so soft and say like, bro, like use your body. Like what the hell are you doing?
I was hard on him. Yeah.
So, and then it was the fact too that a lot of people knew like during the summer he was helping me play ball. So after that, it was just like if I did something dumb on the court, he would be like, Mike, what the hell? Get your hands in the game. Yeah. So it was just like, all right, like I can't like because everybody know his skills in ball. If I mess up, it's just like it falls on him. So I'm just like I gotta pick it up. So I could say, like Tay definitely taught me that too. That toughness. That's true. Like it was times where I'll be like, yo, like yeah, we about to go to 65th or like down the other side of Southwest, and I'll be like, bro, like let's just catch a ride or something. Like let's not walk. And he was like, bro, regardless, you gonna have to face these people anyway. Yeah. And they always it's gonna be people like this throughout life anyway. So it's either you're gonna face it now and understand how to react to confrontation now, or
and I also think another thing too, Mike, is used to be like Mike is a person that hates conflict, y'all. So like he has this habit of like I don't want to say he was like lying, but he would tell you something that's not a lie, but basically is a lie. If that makes sense. So like I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I feel like y'all get me. Like it was like half truths because he thought if he told the truth, it would lead to some type of conflict or something like that. Yeah. And that's something that like I used to be on him hard about that. Like, bro, why do you like do that? Like why like
I was afraid like at times it was because I always felt like if I expressed myself or told my truth that people would just be like, oh, I don't want to talk to Mike tomorrow or like they would just like stop talking to me. So I'll just be like, you know what? I just want to make this person happy and I won't ever let them know. And I felt like that's
people pleasing.
Yeah. And I felt like, and honestly, I felt like that's why that situation happened for so long because although like people knew like I was your man, your right hand, they just knew like it was like why Tay doing this to Mike and Mike not saying nothing. So I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna let it go. But eventually I had to face it or Tay would have never knew.
Yeah. So going back to the gap in our friendship. So after that conversation that night, y'all, that was a heavy conversation. Like I said, I felt ambushed. And then we went how many years after?
So
we went like 2 years without speaking.
Yeah, 2, 3. I'll say 2 to 3.
2 or 3 years, and to me, it felt like a long time because like you changed so much from like the end of high school to graduating from college, and that's when we honestly became friends again. It was like the end of college, so I think it was more than 2 to 3 years, bro. It was like a good 4 to 5 years.
Think not because the situation happened the sophomore year of college.
But I feel like we had kind of like grew distant like before that. I think like 12th. I think when I transferred schools, I think that's when I started to hang with Najee and Tim and them a lot more.
Nah, because when you went to FLC, you was still coming because you was coming to Arletta.
I was, but I was splitting my time now. Like my time looked a lot. We couldn't hang out as much as we used to.
Yeah.
Like, we couldn't. I would find a way to still link up with them, but it wasn't
like it was like it was being forced instead of it being like how it was before.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at that point, me and James was always together. That's when James had and that's when James finally got his freedom. James had got his L.
Yeah.
So like, we was outside. That's when James
maybe
started.
that's why it feels a lot longer. But to me, like it felt like we wasn't friends for like 10 years because like you go from seeing somebody almost like every day and them having your back through whatever and vice versa, I had his back too, and then it's like
I know you be there if I call type of thing.
So it was different for me, and like I really struggled with that like throughout those years, bro, because for one, Mike was
this is the first time I'm hearing this too, y'all. So
that was my best friend, and like I really struggled with that, but nobody knew. Like I ain't really like show that to the public, but if I had like a girlfriend or something like that, they always would hear stories about like this person named Mike that was kind of like this important person in my life that like wasn't there. And I think this relationship, that was the like the inception or like the start of me learning like what accountability was, because at first, like I said, I felt like attacked But then I think as I got older and matured and I started to reflect on the ways in which I may have hurt him, I think I started to learn like a valuable lesson. And I think it grew from like confusion and anger to like I just accepted it. So he probably noticed like a real more laid back version of me as I got older. Like I wasn't fazed anymore about us not being friends because I think I had formed a whole bunch of new friends. That's one thing I will say about me. Like I make friends kind of like wherever I go for some reason, but it still was like this void. And I knew like I went through a lot of hardships from high school to college, and if I needed a ride, let's say my car broke down and I looked at my phone, I'm like, who the heck? You know those moments where like you down and out and you know like you don't got nobody to call. I knew that regardless of me and Mike wasn't speaking, he might have an attitude, he might be mad or whatever, but if I call him and say, yo, bro, I really need you, he showed up every single time. Like we wouldn't speak the whole year. My birthday would come, Mike would give me, he'd have like a card with like money and it might be $20, $40, whatever the case may be, but it's just the fact like people don't really like do stuff like that. Like that's not like a normal thing. And I think in a way, Mike kind of like, I feel like he's one of the only people in the world that kind of like, outside of my family, like love me like flaws and all. Like,
I mean, I feel like everybody got flaws though, bro. So, and it's because I genuinely know you. So, right. I feel like I said, back then it was two sides of the mindset. It was either you gonna get side A, which is the one that want that ego filled up, and side B, where it's like
that's the Kodak part.
Yeah, just like the Scorpion tape. You had side A, with that's all hip hop. The side B, where it's like the slower version, and that's where the real take come out, the slow version, where it's like
very laid back, very charismatic,
like expressing feelings.
I look out for everybody. I love. It's just all positive affirmations. Like that's me. Like I love affirming people and just if I see a woman walking down the street with nice hair, nice clothes, I'm gonna be like, Miss, your hair looks like beautiful. Like Miss, you. Oh Mike, you got that cinema today, bro. Like that's like the real me because I always felt good about myself. So I felt like it gave me. It was two ways in which I could use my communication. It was a way that was like demonstrative, that was bad, joking, being a bully. But me at my best, using my communication, it was like the person that's gonna motivate you and inspire you or affirm you and tell you that how much they love you and like what they see in you. And I think I'm still learning how to like balance that as I get older. But I'll say at that time it was kind of like this. And I think that part, it's like the more I get older, the positive part is taking so much more precedent because I learned the impact of words and
know more about yourself as well. I could say that. Like you grew to be 100% authentic you. Like you stopped listening to the noise and just start facing the music and start looking in the mirror like, I'm this man, I'm gonna stay this man the same way every time. So.
And I would say, y'all, the difference about me and a lot of people is that like, while this conversation may seem like Tay had like a lot of flaws or whatever the case may be, the one thing about me is that like I never been afraid to like face my flaws. So Mike got flaws too that we wouldn't even bring to the camera and all that, but it's just the fact that like that's just the reality of all human beings. Like we all got flaws. I'm just a person that I don't know what it is about me, y'all, but I'm just like what I go through, I don't be seeing it as like stuff to like hide kind of. I don't know. Like it's almost like
you embrace it and try to find ways to.
Yeah, like I embrace all my hardships and just try to find the silver lining, or I'm digging a way out. Like if I'm in a hole or a tunnel, we not sitting in that tunnel. Like once I realize, like, or I might cry or whatever. Once that get out the way, it's like, what we doing now? Like, yo, we got to make a plan. We got to get out of this tunnel. That's always been me. So I don't want y'all to think Mike just this perfect guy.
Yeah, I'm not
perfect.
I'm not.
But we just not talking about. We're not talking about Mike right now. So, basically, that time period, it was like very hard for me. And I felt like, I told you this when we kind of like had our conversation. I felt like Mike used to do this thing where like, I had got like a whole new friend group. And like, I love those guys. Like they were like really essential at that time period of my life. I feel like God always sent me like helpers or like spiritual mothers, spiritual brothers, just people to like get me over the hump. I feel like God knew what I lacked in family, in my household, and he just sent me like all these amazing people out in the world to help me become and get to where I need to be and do a lot of the things I have done. But I met a whole new group of friends, and I would say like my trajectory I had a whole new trajectory. And I think in that time period, I used to feel like Mike, he had like a lot of resentment. So one thing about Mike, y'all, is now we talk about Mike, he very like, because he is afraid of conflict, he's very like passive aggressive. Me, I'm the type of person, if I feel some type of way, like everybody gonna know. Like you gonna know, like Tay don't sugarcoat nothing, he gonna tell the truth, he gonna tell it like it is. Mike, he kind of like throws like little like shots and shades and like innuendos. And I think like that was the time period of my life where I had kind of got like unbothered. Like I used to see the stuff, like it used to be, this is what I felt. It'd be like, if I posted a picture of me and my boys going out, or like I said, yo, going back to the fact that I'm a very expressive person. So I'd be like, yo, my real friends, like I love you, bro. Reese, I love you. Thank you for doing all this stuff that you do. Thank you, bro. Like I love you. You my best friend. When Mike would see those things, he would make a post. He would post James or post his other man Steve. It was like a competition of like, I feel like now I'm looking back, he probably like, nigga, like, I'm your real friend. Like, I was the one that was feeding you, making sure you had hoodies, whatever. You took all my damn basketball shorts. We done wore each other's sneakers. Like, I'm your real friend. I get that now, but as I was going through that phase, I'm like, why is Mike doing this? Like, this is so weird.
But at one point, though, I know we always say this, I felt like it wasn't deliberate, though.
Yeah.
Like, I do feel like it was times where you would post them and stuff like that, and there was times where I would just post James, post Zay, post Steve. Yeah. But literally, like that one post, it was me, James, and Zay. When I posted it, we went out for my B-Day. Yeah. So that's why I posted. But it just so happened that the timeline just seemed like...
But you can't admit that some of them
some of them were like, all right, bro, like, if you want to do this, we going to do that. Like, I'm going to do that too.
Yeah.
But one thing about...
I wasn't even thinking about you, though. I really wasn't thinking about Mike, yo.
I ain't going to lie, bro. At the time, it was kind of like, all right, like, I'm very petty. So in my head, I'm just like, all right, Tay, like, I see what you're doing. So I'm going to do it too. I wasn't
thinking that at all.
And Tay wasn't thinking that, but I feel like we were so real that it was time, like, I know Tay.
Yeah.
So he could have easily just been like, all right, Mike on some weird shit. I'm going to unfollow him.
Yeah.
And I could have did the same thing, but we both and I'm the type of person, like, if I realize somebody posts a new pic or something and I didn't see them in a long time, I'll hit their name, see if they still follow me. And if not, I'll follow them too. So I'm like, all right, well, Tay don't follow me yet.
You never did nothing bad to me, bro. Like, when I left, the way I felt, this is not necessarily true because it's never just all one person. But when we had that phone call and I felt like ambushed, like, I walked away from that feeling like it was all my fault. Like, that's what everybody said on the phone. Like, it was kind of like a attack Tay type of thing. Yeah. So when I walked away from that, I really wasn't mad at you. I never was mad at you. I more so was hurt and disappointed that our relationship had fell through for something that was never communicated to me. Like, I never knew that I was hurting you. So I think for me, it was more so like, I didn't unfollow him or nothing because I'm like, bro, this person, like, I got items of his in my house, or like, we used to be together every day. Like, when I go home, my grandma was saying, oh, how's Mike? And for a couple of years, I had to like lie and like say like different stories and stuff like that. But the one difference, I ain't gonna lie, bro, the one thing that hurt me the most out of all that is like, whenever we did, let's say like reconnect on like a holiday or something, one thing I don't appreciate, bro, I'm not saying this specifically to you, is like, I feel like because I live in my truth more than most people, it's easy to like attack my blind spots. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody has blind spots, but the type of person I am, when I walked away from things with Mike, I never like badmouthed you at no point, bro. To like my grandma, I never really talked bad about you to anybody. But I could tell, like, when I would come around after like long periods of time, like whatever discussions you did have with maybe Cherd or like your mom, like the way they responded to me those years and those interactions, I could tell it was different, and I knew it was because whatever you felt, the way in which you was communicating it to your family, you made me look like a monster.
I'm not gonna lie. All right, so with that one, during that phone call, it was me, my brother, and James on the phone. Yeah. So, you know, Cherd, he knew what was going, like, he knew how I felt.
Right, your big brother.
So at that point, my brother, Cherd, that's my brother then told my mom, like, yeah, they had a falling out, this was sad. Yeah. So now, you know, I'm my mom's baby. So my mom just like, oh, wow, I never knew, like, this was going on the whole time. So when me and Tay reconnected, I never really told anybody like, oh, I'm texting DeMonte or DeMonte.
Yeah.
So it was just like when he popped up, to them it's just like, oh, Tay popped up.
What is he doing here?
But the whole time it's like, yeah, I'm telling him, oh yeah, bro, like come on over, like you know what it is, you know, vibes.
Change, like I read vibes real well. Even his girlfriend, his current girl, he been with for a long time.
Yeah, like
when I first met her, I could see it. Like you could tell when somebody like don't really. I'm gonna be frank, like don't fuck with you, like, and I could tell it was kind of like, yeah, nigga, my boyfriend don't really trust you. Like my boyfriend don't really like fuck with you. That's the vibes.
When you first met Lex?
Yeah, like all of the times I first met her. And
what was the first time you met Lex?
Y'all came to Nene house in Sharon Hill. This is like, she came. She said she been.
Oh yeah. And she sat in the dining room. Yeah. So like at that point, I feel like at that stage, although we reconnected, I feel like we were still going through that.
Was going through that.
Yeah, all right. I would say I was still going through that. All right, we're still reconnecting. I'm still like figuring everything out and stuff. So yeah, my girl like, and it was the same thing. Like my girl knew like, yo, me and DeMonte used to walk from Sharon Hill to like Southwest. So I would tell Lex all of that. But at the time, all Lex knew
was your other friend
was James and Zay. Like Lex and Zay.
Like y'all got all these memories and stuff.
Yeah, but I never seen you. I never. So
it was suspicious.
Now, once like the first time Lex met Tay, she like sat away. Like she would say little things here and there.
She was real standoffish.
Yeah, but
I said, I'm like, yo, she mean. Like I'm like, yo.
Yeah, Tay thought my girl was mean, so like she thought that like, and he thought that's why I became so stern. But over time now, like you see how Lex is. It's just
like her a lot. Yeah.
And even with my mom too, like you see how like the relationship there. Like I told my mom, like even like today, like I'm on the phone. She was like, "You made it to Tay. You didn't even tell me like you made it down there." So I'm like, "Oh yeah, my fault." She was like, "Just have fun," and like she knows like, all right, he at DeMonte crib. I trust it. Like I know they safe. I know they ain't gonna do nothing dumb or stuff. So
and I think like the type of person I am, y'all, like it's not many people like me in the fact that like when I fall out with people, like I said, I face all of my issues head on. That's what makes me different than a lot of people on earth. Like y'all could have a bunch of judgments for me, and I'd be like, all right, I can see that, like how you feel that way. And when I go home and I gotta think about what y'all said, I'm gonna really think about like, yo, how can I better myself, or how can I fix this situation? That's what's different about me. It's not the fact that I don't make mistakes, because I make a lot of them. But I would rather make mistakes like living in my truth and then not being afraid to face them than to try to move through the world like I'm a perfect person. So I think like whenever it was time to reconnect with Mike, or even reconnect with anybody that I fell out with, I don't really have that, oh, it's gonna take me time to like.
Because you already faced it.
Yeah, because I already faced it. So when they come back to me, it just be like, yo, like they kind of be like, bro,
like hold on before we
go. We gotta work our way back to that. But like I said, because I go through life, I'm gonna face this. So when it's time, it'd be like when I fall out with people in my life now, it kind of be like, whenever you ready to have the conversation, I'll be ready. Because I done already went through, I'm gonna feel it. If I gotta cry, I'm gonna cry. If I gotta, behind closed doors, of course. If I gotta do all those things, I'm gonna do it to get myself to the point where I'm a person, I can't function without positivity and like some type of like forward movement in my life. Like,
or that optimism.
Yeah, like cause my life was hard enough, y'all. Like I have to be motivated to get through college and all the things I'm doing. Like you gotta be motivated. So I have to face this stuff because I know I'm the engine that keeps myself and a lot of my family members going. So for me, it took time, but I would say like what was memorable is how did we get on the phone and have that final conversation where it kind of like really nipped everything in the bud. That was this past year?
Nah, that was 2021, okay. and I remember this conversation vividly.
How did this happen?
At one point, it was 3 days prior to the phone call. I had text Tay, and I think on the gram you had posted this was when you was getting ready to move to Atlanta.
Yeah. So
I had text Tay. I'm like, yo, bro, how are you? What's new? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So Tay was like, I'm good. Yeah, I'm getting ready to move to the A, yada, yada. And I was like, oh, and mind you, he didn't say how about you or nothing.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't really
like, I'm gonna explain this one, right? So then I'm like, oh, that's what's up. I'm getting ready to move to Delaware. Mm-hmm. So at that point,
oh, I remember
Tay
that.
never responded. He never. So I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, yo, he never responded.
Yeah.
the third day, he called me. So he like, Mike, I'm not gonna lie, I gotta talk to you. So I'm like, all right, talk to me, bro. What's wrong? I'm thinking the way like he talked, like I'm thinking something was wrong. So my girl looking at me weird, and this before they met too at this point.
Yeah.
So my girl looking at me weird, like, babe, like you okay? Like what's wrong? I'm thinking Lamonte in trouble. I'm already getting dressed. I'm like, yo, bro, like you okay? Like what's wrong? He like, I just find it weird. Like, and I remember this.
Because I know what triggered me. It was a post on the gram.
No, it wasn't that. It was when, I think it was the post on the gram.
But it was all of those things back to back to back.
Yeah. So at that point, Tay was just like, I feel like you hit me up to find out what's going on in my life. And then you just try to like, it's like you be trying to stay in touch, but then don't really care as much. Yeah. So at that point, I'm like,
I didn't know nothing about your life.
Yeah, like he didn't know nothing that was going on. At that point, I was with Lex for 2 years. Yep. We had our first apartment getting ready to move out. Tay didn't even come to the first apartment.
I never got invited, Joe. Not like
I gotta admit that on camera. Like I never invited him to the first apartment. Like he knew I had the apartment. I posted it and all of that, but he never I never been like.
When we would see each other in passing, he'd be like, "Oh, you gotta come to the spot," but it was like a you gotta, but not really mean.
Yeah, it was just one of those ones where it's just like. I'm saying it because we in front of people, but it's like I'm not putting in the effort to really
make that
stand on it.
Right.
So at that point on the phone, he just like, and this was like a great conversation. And this is when I finally realized things about myself too, where Tay was like, I just feel like it's not genuine. Like I knew you to be a genuine guy, and now it just seems like it's being either forced or it's fake. Yeah. So at that point, I'm explaining to Tay like, nah, bro, like. I was really just like, checking in and stuff like that. And Tay was just telling me like how he really felt. And at that point, that's when I realized the change in Tay at that point where, like, where he said he was here, he going up, he take his accountability. And for so long, I always played victim. Yep. Like, I'll always be like, so-and-so did this to me. And the first thing I do, I run straight to my brother and then go to James. So at that point, I'm just like, oh, I called James after the conversation. I'm like, James, Tay think I'm in competition with him. So James was like, Mike, I already spoke to Tay. And to be honest, bro, he had some points. Like, only time you hit him up is after he posts something on the gram and you know what's going on in his life.
It was like, whatever I did, Mike would kind of post like something similar. So I'm peeping it. I'm like,
all right, now it's getting weird.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, I don't have no beef with him. And I used to talk to James because that's the middle friend between both of us. Yeah. I'm like, bro, I don't have no problem with Mike. Why are you doing that? And James just should be like, I don't know, bro. Like, y'all gotta talk.
And mind you, James don't have no socials to realize, like, to see
He's
stuff.
Not even on social media, so he can't see it. He just going off of what I'm, like, telling him. So he didn't pick a side. He just was like, I don't know, bro. Like, y'all gotta, talk about that. So, keep going.
So, bro. At that point, during the phone call, Tay was just saying, like, I accepted this. Like, I know what it is. Like, I don't have no problem. Like, Tay just coming out forward. Like, I don't got no problems with you. I wish you the best in life. Like, yeah, I'm going to the A. You don't even have to come see me for all. Like, he's saying all of this. Yeah. And at that point, like, after that phone call, and it was June 23rd, I hung up, and then I called James. I'm just like, bro, like, Tay feel this way. So then, after I spoke to James, I hung up. I called Tay back. Me and Tay start rapping again. And then he like, bro, I got to call you back. I think you got busy. Yeah. That's when we start doing the voice memo, Johns. And that's when I realized, like, and I apologize for all my behavior. I apologize for that ambush call. Because that's when I realized that I didn't take accountability for nothing. Like, in my relationship, I didn't take accountability at first. And Lex, you know that, babe. Like, I didn't take accountability for nothing. My friendships, I didn't do it. And I always felt like because I was just genuine guy, whenever something...
You was expecting you out of other people.
Yeah, I was expecting that. And then I was also expecting, like, people not to, like, pick on my flaws. Right. So I felt like once somebody attacked my flaw, I felt like, oh, why are you doing this to me? Like, oh, calm down. But
and
once
that's
I started,
the type of person I am. Like, if you got some stuff, like, I'm gonna tell you, like, yo, you drawing. Like, why you doing that? So I think when we had that conversation, I just finally, the stuff that I felt and was communicating to other people, I finally told him, like, bro, I don't feel no type of way towards you. And at that point, I had fully detached, like, from our relationship. I'm just like, bro, I really want the best for you. Like, you said you not my friend. I accepted this. I'm like, it took me a while over the years, but I'm like, I just accepted this. I had to work with myself and become a better person. But I'm like, it never been no beef. Like, I literally love you. Like,
it even got to a point, I'm not going to lie, like, when Tay graduated from Temple, and I never said this, but it was just like, Tay still invited me. Like, and at that point, I was kind of like, whoa, you invited me to your graduation
after I said, part of my life.
Yeah, like, but like, it goes to a point where I said I wasn't your friend at that point, but Tay never said those words. So when he invited me to the graduation, I kind of felt like, damn, like, I missed out on so much of Tay's journey that I felt out of place a little bit. Yeah. So even when I seen his grandma there, it was just like a happy moment for me, but it was just like, at the same time, like,
it really was a reflection of how much time had
passed. That passed, and like, it ate me inside a little bit. So that phone call really woke me up to, like, certain things and, like, my personal life, everything. It was just like, all right, I got to be accountable for my actions. I have to know how to communicate how I feel. Yeah. And even from that, like, you know, a big like, it helped me out mentally too. So
and I think I realized that about myself. Like, a lot of my relationships are like that. Like, I feel like because I'm a genuine person and I live so much in my truth, I feel like most people want to actually do that. Like, I feel like a lot of people want to do it. They just scared. It's simple things like starting a YouTube channel or it's a bunch of things that people want to do. And I think until you get past the fact of accepting, like, I'm scared to do this. All right. That opens up the opportunity for the next question. Why are you scared? Oh, I'm scared because so-and-so gonna think like this about me, or being from Philly, it's not cool to
have a YouTube
channel or do this. And then once you really break your thoughts down, you be like, this don't even make sense. Like, this is not rational. All right, let me face this head on. And I feel like because I've always been that type of person, I feel like people have always been able to, like, pick me apart because I'm so open that I feel like it's just like all my flaws is like there, and I'm accepting them and I'm trying to work to becoming a better person. But other people around me, it's like they don't do that in their own lives, even though they probably really want to. Yeah. They admire it, but it's almost like it gives them the ability to play victim because they hide in the shadows of, like, all the shit that, I'm gonna be frank, I don't usually curse out, but the shit that they doing behind closed doors. Like, that's why I said Mike not perfect, yo. He got flaws too. And I'm not gonna out him on here, but it's just like we all got flaws. And I think once we can accept that, embrace that, be honest with ourselves, I think that really opens up the room for growth. And I think once I got that ambush call from Mike, it took a while. Initially, I was playing a victim. Like, I was hurt. I didn't understand it, and rightfully so. But I think once I began to reflect on high school and talk to other people, like, James, what's your perspective of, like, what Mike was saying? And I love James because he actually, like, talked to me.
Yeah, like, James blunt, just
and
like
I just be like, I was like, I get why Mike is sad now, so why would I unfollow you and all that stuff if I feel like I'm the person that did wrong? I'm like,
got you.
I hurt my best friend, so I'm like, all right, losing Mike, that kind of like, that, it sucks that, like, sometimes you gotta lose something that you care about to make, like, big changes in your life. But I don't know if that ambush call don't happen, I don't know if I start failing forward. Like, I don't know if the person I am now, I don't know. But because I loved him and I loved his family so much, I'm like, I gotta change, yo. And it wasn't that I wasn't a bad person. It was more, I'm like, I gotta be myself. Like, I gotta be my full self, the genuine, compassionate. Some people call me emotional. I done cried 2 times. That's just me. Like, I'm just who I am. I'm like, I gotta change, because, like, when you don't even come from a lot of family and you lose that, Mike was like my anchor, like, for a lot of years, like, that changes you as a person. And I had to become something else. Like, I had to learn how to, it's almost like I had to, like, learn how to, like, stand on my 2 feet. And I'm glad that I learned that lesson. But that's why when we had that conversation, I kind of was giving him the cold shoulder, because I'm just like, bro, whatever you feel, like, I don't feel that way. Like, I don't feel like that. So, like, if you're gonna come into my life, just do it in a genuine way. If it's something you want to say, whatever, like, let's talk about it and just move forward. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
I feel like that.
We had another conversation. It was like a different conversation. Oh, I think you called me. What was it? You called me back. I think you had talked to James.
Yeah, I had called you back.
Was that a different conversation?
No, it was within the same day.
I think I was out here when this conversation happened. We had a convo where it's kind of like, I think we had talked, and then you talked to James, and James was like, no, Mike, you got to be accountable too.
Yeah, and
or was this me like apologizing to you or something? Like,
no, that's when you start. Yeah, you apologized to me first, and then I accepted it, and James was like, nah, Mike, because James was on the call at that call, and James was like, Mike, you have to apologize too.
Why did I call you that day? Did I call you to apologize? Like, did I
set
this whole thing up?
Yeah, you set it up, and then James just like connected the call. But James was on mute the whole time Tay was talking. I accepted Tay's apology, and at that point, James came off of mute like, Mike, you're not done yet. Like, you have to apologize, and you have to take accountability.
He kind of like, I said this, I owned up for everything, yo.
Yeah, like
I said,
Tay
that's what type of person I am. I said,
flat out said it.
I'm sorry, bro.
And at that point, I felt better. Like, I felt like, oh, all right, cool. Like, I finally got an apology after all these years from Tay. Yeah. And then at that point, I never knew how he felt.
Right.
Like, about the ambush call, about how hurt he was from that conversation. Yeah. So even just now, him saying like I was just angry, first time me hearing that, it was just like, damn, I didn't know like how much I meant to you at that point. So once I started apologizing, I swear to God, the very next day, me and Tay was just like, yo, what's up, bro? Like, it was just went right back to like
high school.
Like we never fell off. Like, I'm saying, hey, you love the A. And at that point, I know it was a little after March because me and Lex had came out to the A for her birthday that year. Yeah. So I was like, yo, bro, next time I'm in the A, I got to slide on you. So it was just like.
And I didn't believe you really at first. It kind of reminded me of the apartment thing. Like, I'm like, all right, I know we cool, we apologize to each other, but I'm like, he's probably still doing that. Like, oh, I'm going to see you. But I ain't really going.
Yeah, and that was something else too. So I'm not going to lie. At the start of the reconnection, I feel like we both were here at that point. Yeah. Like how Tay said, oh, embrace it, like come back. Yeah. I feel like Tay was still here too at some point.
Yeah, I was.
It was times where you'd be like, all right, like why Mike texting me now? Like he don't. Right. So I feel like over time though,
I had to let my defensiveness, let my guard down.
And I felt like once I released my guard and I was back here, I expected you to be there too.
My guard was up now.
And your guard, and I don't fault you for that because for so long, like you said, like coming around my family, it felt like weird. Yeah. But like literally, like I felt like we knew what it was. Came our graduation, I would say before the graduation, because me, Tay, and Gene started the group chat.
And it kind of like got back to old times.
Yeah, it felt great. And then the graduation happened. Like that's when it
started with, and I appreciate James, it started with the fact that I think people need to learn this, that like relationships are like a two-way process. Like whenever somebody telling you something and they blame it all on the other person, you gotta start to kind of like side eye them like, yo, what did you do in this situation? And honestly, when you don't face what you do, that's why a lot of people be walking around like angry and like throwing shade and like all those feelings. That it's because they not acknowledging the actual feelings that they carrying. So the more that you do that, because life happens, like this gonna happen at work, it's gonna happen in your personal life. All of that is just like stored in your body. It gotta go somewhere. Yeah. And a lot of times, that's why people be walking around disgruntled and mean. They mad at parents for stuff they never did. They mad at friends. They mad at teachers that might have said something to them when they was in 5th grade. And they just carrying all of these feelings and, you know, they not using them in a productive way. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest difference of somebody like myself. I'm like, I'm going to just feel all these feelings. Like, I'm going to process them. And so I don't have to carry that grief. I don't have to, like, carry that, like, anger. And one thing y'all going to know about me is, like, I'm not a shady person. I can be, I say like, I joke a lot, so I'm a shit talker, but that's not the same as like shady. Like I'm a type of person, like I'm a real person. Like if I gotta say something, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna tell you the truth. If I rock with you, you gonna know. If I don't rock with you, I'm not gonna try to kick it with you and act like we friends. Like what you see from me at this point in my life is like what you get. Like this is flaws and all, like this is just me. But I think, I think that's just important for people to realize, like, if it was a golden lesson in all of this, like, relationships are, like, a two or multiple people thing. Like, you can't just, like, blame everything on one person. Even if you feel like you did everything right, it's always still going to be something that you could grow from. Better. And at that time period of my life, that was a hard lesson to learn. I felt like I took all the blame and I carried that with me for years. Like, damn, I was this bad person and like, I was this terrible friend. But reality, like a lot of people call me sensitive, but I don't think I am, but I'm not because it's things that Mike did that I didn't like. But it didn't really like impact me the same.
Yeah.
I don't think I really like cared about it that much. It was just kind of like, oh, that's Mike. Like,
yeah, and I felt at that time too, I felt like I genuinely was just like, all right, well, Tay doing this. Well, I think I'm doing this, and it's getting to you, and the whole time it's like you don't care.
I don't care at all. So, but I think, dang, that was a lot, bro. That was a lot, man. We just kind of like we ain't never, even when we talked about it, we ain't talk about it like this.
Yeah, we haven't, and I can say like that situation did too help me. It did help me like express myself. Yeah. Like it finally gave me, like I said, I found my voice. Because at that point, I realized, like, oh, wow, like, me and Tay had a confrontation, which I always avoided. I finally spoke and communicated with him. We finally did that. And because of doing so, look where we at today. Like, it's just like, they always say communication is key. And a lot of people be like, oh, that's BS. Like, but a simple conversation.
It saved our relationship.
Facts. And we here today. So, it makes me happy to know, like, if that conversation never occurred, where would we be at today?
Yeah.
Like,
you know how some people say, like, yo, if you can make it in Philly, you can
make it anywhere.
I'm Philly, y'all. Like, if you can make it through a conversation with somebody like myself or James, like I said, we gonna challenge you. We gonna make you uncomfortable. Like, but if you could face us, because one thing about both me and James, like, we're both like intellectuals, we thinkers. You gotta just make sure you come and you make sense. Like, make sense. Don't try to play no victim about anything. Know what you gonna say and articulate yourself clearly. If you could do those things, you gonna win our respect. And for Mike, you just had to talk to me in a way in which, like, I understood and I could receive it. Yeah. And I'm not afraid of saying, once I understood, like, bro, I'm sorry. And now that I know that you did, my actions made you feel this way, I'm going to do my best to become a better person.
Same, bro. And I feel like we both here now. We both grew from it. Yeah. We both better people from it, too. And I feel like it definitely gives us the chance to, like, where's no holds barred, where if Tay do something I don't like, I could be like, yo, Tay, I ain't like that you did it, and vice versa. And I really love where we at now.
No, me too, bro. So I would say, like, where would you say our friendship is now? Like, how would you describe it? Like, would you say that it's even stronger than it was at the time when we was younger?
I would definitely say it's stronger because I feel like now that we older, it's more meaningful too. Right. Because I feel like back then when we were younger, it was more things like little like things like where you think, oh, Mike's still my friend because he gave me a pair of socks.
Right.
Whereas now it's just like, no, Mike's still my friend because we communicated the problem and solved it right away instead of holding it in. I don't know if Mike gonna ignore me for 2-3 days. Yeah. Like it'd be times like even like when we be on the game, like, you know, afterwards I will call you, be like, yo, Tay, I finally seen what you were saying on the game. Like I know you were a little upset, but all right, boom, and we just rebound from it right that day. Like we separated.
I love that.
Take 5 and then boom, we here. So.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like because I'm like that, it makes it hard for me to move through the world because I be thinking that like other people want to communicate and like resolve issues, but the reality of it is like people don't want to talk. People don't want to be like vulnerable. So a lot of times in ways like I'm so open and I want to have these conversations. Like even if I'm mad at Mike, I'm still going to talk to him. Yeah. Like we going to talk this out until we feel better. But the average person moving through the world, they're not really like that. And I get it because people have had hard lives. So like it's kind of like the world is peppered. Like it's so hard to be vulnerable in the world. It's so hard to show any signs of weakness, especially as a black man, being a black man and woman. So sometimes there's no margin for weakness or any emotions, like, because we always just gotta overcome like situations and like be tough.
Or we have in our head that like, oh, if I told like so and so how I'm feeling, they gonna use it against me. So.
Yeah. So and that the reality of it is that does happen a lot. So I get it, but I would say life is trying to teach me right now about like the art of like humility and like patience. Like I feel like those are the biggest lessons that I'm gonna have to learn like going into my 30s. And I guess, bro, what would you say? Like, I know you said you learned accountability. Was there any, I guess, like final lesson that you feel like you learned from this or you got from this whole experience?
I'll say accountability. I kept saying expressive, like how to express my feelings, how to communicate better, for sure. What else have I learned from this?
And I'm proud of you, bro. This is a big step of like, when y'all tell me like y'all journaling and like going to therapy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Bro, I didn't know if you wanted to out that.
Nah, and I was like, I didn't mind outing it, but I didn't know like if I want to bring that up too. And that's something else I learned from this journey was a lot of things too that happened prior to the gap and prior to the situation. I never knew I was holding on to so many things. So like Tay would always be like, yeah, I'm going to therapy. And like he always bring up therapy. At one point during my relationship, my girl would bring up therapy. So I finally tried it last year, 2022, signed up, started therapy. And it's like the best I've ever been. Because now I'm finding like ways where I could express myself. I'm finding out who is Mike.
Yep.
I'm finding out like ways to like control myself in situations, how to process my thoughts, my feelings, and then how to deliver it. And I feel like for so long, so many people don't know that delivery matters.
Yeah.
That is like when they finally do deliver that blow, it's just like, oh, I didn't mean for it to come out like that. But once it's already released, it's like, that's it. So in that situation, it just felt good knowing that, okay, I did this, we back, and we here now. So,
yeah. And I think like we instrumental to each other. It's funny, like we gain things. That's what friendship is. Like you gain things from each other at different points in your life. Like,
thanks.
Let's say like Mike, our temperaments are like completely different. Like I could be a mix between real laid back and like real aggressive. It just depends on like who around and what's going on in those situations. And I found that Mike's temperament, you know, because he is compassionate, because he is like a little slower to move and respond to situations, it allows him to have a sense of calm as he's like facing conflict. Even if he's rattled on the inside, he's not going to just make like a rash decision. Yeah. But because of myself, how like I'm gonna feel everything, and sometimes I act too quickly and prematurely in situations. So I think I may have been the person that, like, let's say, inspired Mike to go to therapy, but his journey and because of his temperament and the way he responds to situations, now I can rely on the lessons that he's getting from therapy to be like a role model for me and how to respond to situations. So it's kind of like I led him to the well he drank, and now he leading me to another well of, all right, Tay, like, you are outspoken. You do want to talk about these things, but Tay, it's about how you say that to. Yeah. And sometimes I really don't. I think I do know how people feel a lot of ways, but sometimes I don't. Like that's. So I might say something. I might think it's a joke because I'm a big shit talker, and Mike would be the person that'd be like, oh no, Tay, maybe this person felt like that, and I'd be like, oh, like
I didn't
think about that. So, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's what friendship is, and you gotta have people around you that kind of like round out your edges, and like it's like a mutual us both getting better. Let's say Mike relationship, like I ain't never have a problem getting girls. For me, it's always been keeping a girl. Mike at this point in his life, he been in 4 years, and that's something that where I learned from him. So it's different domains of our lives where we learn from each other. For me, it might be, you know, you might have your own things that you learn from me, but those are the things I pay attention from Mike that I learned from him. And it's just kind of like a mutual thing of us making each other better human beings, really, man. But this was a lot, bro.
It was.
This was a good episode.
It was needed.
This was the best episode of my podcast ever.
I appreciate you, bro.
Love you,
for real. I love you too, bro. For real.
Love you. I never cried on a podcast. And a part of me want to delete this, y'all, take that part out.
But he gonna leave it on because this is the real, like, and this is what I'll be telling people for so long. This is the real DeMonte. Yeah. Like this, the DeMonte. The door closed, but this is the one behind closed doors that y'all don't see and that y'all seeing now, which I'm happy about. So.
Yeah. So I appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate you too, bro.
Like I said, for people, like, y'all gotta, like, I know we live in, like, a culture where it's kind of, like, cool to be, like, F people and letting people, cutting people off and stuff like that. But, like, yo, we need other people to survive this thing. Like I said, Mike's family, like I needed them. I didn't even know how much I needed them. Like just hearing him reflect his family's perception of what I was going through at the time. Sometimes you be in need and you don't even know that you really in need. Like I'm staying at Mike's house from 3. We get home at 3:30. I'm at Mike's house till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night.
On a school night too. So.
Yo. I didn't want to leave because I felt like safe. I felt seen. I felt protected. I felt like I could be a kid, like at Mike's house. So, like we all need people at different stages of our journey, and I feel like if we're like open to that and we always thinking and acting from a place of love, we'll be able to receive that energy. Like I'm big on like the law of attraction. I genuinely feel like I make friends and stuff everywhere I go because I'm always smiling. I'm always happy. I go up to somebody, random person, what's your name? Blah, blah, blah. Like that's just how I am. So I think you are what you attract. So if you carry yourself with good energy, you can forgive people and make sound decisions. There's no reason that you got to walk through the world and feel angry and disgruntled and all that. Like, so that's just, if I had to give any final thing to y'all, man, I would just say, just think twice about like cutting people off, man. We need each other. Like life is hard, man. Like when you got that moment, are you feeling anxiety or you might be suicidal, depression, whatever, you get into an argument with your girl, you need people that you could just tap in with and be like, bro, like I need you right now. Like me and Mike hug, man. Like I cried in Mike's arms. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, before this episode, I'm being truthful. Like I needed that. Like I needed it because I be so strong all the time, like moving through the world. People never know how I really feel. Like I could go through the worst, whatever in my life, and I still be working, still putting content out. And sometimes you need somebody that could just see through all that and be like, bro, I'm here for you. Thanks. So and when it comes to, go ahead, bro.
My fault. And one thing I would say too was, even throughout that time period, one thing that always stuck with me, and for those of y'all too going through anything with like friends, reconnect with them because those memories never fade. Like you could think like, I got a new friend today. That's cool. But that memory with those friends, like I knew people before I knew Tay, before Pepper, and me and Tay's the closest before those people
those
I knew.
Memories, man.
Yeah, and it was memories where it's like, I'll lie to you now, if I start breaking them down, y'all gonna be like, yo, they didn't do this at 16. And it's like, we did.
I'm gonna tell
like,
right, I think that's the perfect way to end it, bro. Like our favorite memories, I guess, from like just being friends.
I would definitely say those Sharon Hill walks, like as much as like it was a pain, like especially on the cold days, but it just felt good. Yeah, it felt good because it was just like one of those ones where we were happy, we were free, like we outside, like you said, basketball, West Philly, late nights playing for bread against old heads, and then on top of that, like our brother used to be like, yo, we need y'all for ball. We like, yo, we got school tomorrow. My brother like, bro, we gonna wake you up and take you to school.
2 o'clock in the morning, yo.
Pay for bread. And we was getting chicken, though. I'm like, all right, take that.
Oh, that made me happy, bro.
Yeah, for sure. What else was a great memory? It was the walks, ball, family time, like, just coming over Nini's, coming over to grandma's, coming over to the crib. Yeah. Just going places, the movies, like 40th Street. It used to be like lit.
It was like coming of age, and like for me, Mike took a couple of mine, but I would just say like I loved basketball, y'all. Like basketball was like my safe haven. Like I loved it because it was like consistent. Like the game was like one of the most consistent things I could do it every single day, and whatever I was going through, it just took my mind away from like all of the stress and whatever of the world. So like. We, like Mike said, we 16, 15. His brother at the time, Cherry, what, 18 or 19?
Nah, he was 16, so he would have been 21.
Oh, he's 21. We 16, 15. He used to call my phone. It might have been 10 o'clock at night. Mind you, my grandma was strict, but at this stage, she's a little sickly, so I ain't even have a key to the house. Yo, when Cherry called, and he'd be like, yo, Tay, we need you to go down west, or we need you to go down north. We playing for some bread. I'm like, I don't got no bread to put up, bro. He like, bro, we just need you. We gonna put up the bread. When you win, we good. Y'all, I didn't even care about the money. I just wanted to play. Like, I really just wanted to play. So I go put my stuff on. I'm like, creep down the stairs. Yo, I would leave my house door open and I close it, but you know it's unlocked. We live in the hood. Yo, somebody could have shot my whole family up, bro. Like, that's God right there. Like, but it's just crazy decisions like that. And yo, them nights was like the best and most thrill. Like, it just, I would never forget those nights, bro. Like, imagine being a 16-year-old and y'all. Like I said, I talk a lot of shit. I'm talking to grown men. Like they 16.
The fuck up.
Like they.
Like it was that one-on-one game at somebody.
Somebody, right?
Yeah. And it was just like
I played against.
Red.
Oh, Brandon? Yeah, big.
I would never forget that shit.
Yo, I was talking to grown men, like they was my age, like kids.
It got to the point where, you can get a grown man to react, and it's just like, he ain't gonna do nothing because we all about to protect Tay anyway. Yeah. So it's just like, not only are you gonna get your ass buzzed, but you gonna get your ass whooped if you touch him. So it's just like, kind of those moments too that made it like fun and enjoyable.
When I say that toughness, y'all, like I really wasn't like, once I got to high school, I'm like, I'm not scared of nobody anymore.
I feel like a grown man though at that point. It's just like,
I'm like, all right, no, we gonna take whatever come from this situation. And that don't mean I ain't take no L's, y'all. Well, I never took an L in a fight, but of course I had mishaps. But I responded to everything that ever happened to me. Once I got to high school, I'm in respond mode, and I think as a man now, that's why I'm slowly realizing, like, Tay, you don't gotta be like that no more. Like, you're not in survival mode. Nobody trying to attack you. Nobody trying to take nothing. Bro, you done went to school. You working with the white folks now. Your life is
Let me ask you this, though, for the pod, right? Did you feel as though you got out of survival mode once you left Philly or once you hit a certain pinnacle in your life?
College.
Okay.
College opened my whole world up, bro. Like, seeing other black people like us, but that came from like money, and that was like talking different. They ain't think all of the things we glorify in the hood was like cool. Like they might have been an engineer or a scientist, and like to them that was like the coolest thing in the world. Or like being around white people for the first time, and like we never went to school with no white people, and if we did, it was like us from the hood. So like I think it really like opened my mind, and like I feel like it kind of gave me that playground to like start to think about like what I really wanted to do and like what kind of person I wanted to become. And I felt safe. We far away from Southwest, bro. So I'm like, I'm in this place. I don't got to worry about nobody trying to shoot up the school, or like I don't got to rumble nobody, nothing like that. So I think that was the start of it. And I think once I got to Atlanta, this is where I finally feel like
peace.
I don't want to say like I made it, but I'm like, yo, like I made it. Like I got some level of peace. Like I did it. So I'll say now, bro, like this is the first time where I feel like I felt like free and like peace, man. Like I ain't have to be in like survival mode.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
What about you? You feel like you in survival mode, or you overcame that?
I feel like I overcame it. I feel like I overcame it once I was finishing up my degree.
Okay.
I felt like once I furthered my education, I separated myself from certain things because I felt like I broke habits. I made better decisions because I knew like if anything happens, I lose all of this.
Right.
And I always want to like be able to provide and protect my family. So I felt like in order for them to be happy and surviving, I would have to deliver. And I feel like moving down south made it better for me too. It was just like I don't have to worry about too much stuff in Philly or anything like that.
So it's kind of like the security of like being able to know and dictate your own future.
Yeah.
Whereas being in the hands of living in Southwest, you could die or harm could be brought to you
at any time.
So, and of course, we're not saying that it's not harm everywhere in the world, but like where we grew up, like it's kind of like a war zone, y'all. Like it's really like Call of Duty in like real life. So we seen a lot, we experienced a lot, and by the grace of God, like He has us like sitting here right now. And I think, in closing, y'all, like Nipsey said something like, you know, growing up in the hood, like going to the hood, you know, people talk about reparations. He like throwing a bunch of money in the hood, that ain't really going like change the hood because the stuff that people dealing with, it's like generational stuff that like money can't save you from it. Like you're gonna need therapy, counseling, yoga, whatever you need to fix it, but it's deep. But he was just saying like when people are in survival mode, like you experience the worst version of themselves. They're not really thinking like rationally. They think, damn, my ribs touching. I'm hungry. I gotta
do whatever
I gotta do whatever possible to survive in this circumstance. And when you see that, you're gonna get the worst version of people. So that's why, let's say, you might hear this all the time in the hood. It might be a drug dealer, killer. When they die, they mom be like, I didn't raise them like that. He wasn't this type of kid. They might have came from a great family. It just might have been like a single parent household or something. Your mom might have been poor. You couldn't get the polo hoodies that Mike got, or the new CP3s, or whatever the case may be. You couldn't get those on a consistent basis. You probably had one pair of shoes that you've been wearing from 8th grade to 10th or something like that. That's going to drive somebody to the streets, because
they want the Lewis and
like
Leaders.
Pepper, bro.
Yeah.
You're going to get bullied. Damn, bro.
Bobos,
whatever the case may be. So it just, that survival mode, bro, like what we doing right now is really special, bro, because like our kids will benefit from everything that we doing right now, man.
And I feel like that's where else we separate from too. Like, we focus more on the future. Like, we don't focus on tomorrow. We focus on
10 years, 5, 10, 15, 20, and not what we gonna do on our own. It's like, how can we keep growing together? How can we keep sharing the resources and sharing the information? Oh, Mike might be an expert in this. All right, Mike got us where, oh, Tay good right here. Tay got us here. Oh, James good with this. James bring it to the pot, and we put it all together. It's gumbo. We all eating, and we all going to the top, man. So, yo, this was great, man. I can't wait to, like, watch this and, like, chop it up, and I'm glad, like, he came on for a weekend. We supposed to be turning up.
Facts.
And we in the house doing this, but like, I wouldn't have it no other way, bro. So I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you too, bro. Love you too. Hold on. I got one more before we end the cast. So, you know, I'm a heavy viewer of Failing Forward. And one question you always ask, you know, somebody who comes on.
Y'all see that?
What does Failing Forward mean, right? Yeah. So you always ask the people you interview. But coming from you, who created it, what does it mean to you? What does Failing Forward mean to you, and why?
Damn, I never thought nobody would ask me that. I never even thought about somebody asking me that, but I would say Failing Forward is like my life, and Failing Forward is like a mantra for life, because none of us are perfect. Like, the only thing that's perfect is God, if you believe in that. Thanks. And we're all created in His likeness and in His image, but to aspire for that is almost like you're chasing a ghost. Like, we will never be able to attain perfection in this life. So I think the more you can just practice what is called like radical self-acceptance, accept that you aren't perfect, I feel like that sets the precedent for you to grow and like actually move forward in your life. So I think Failing Forward to me is like a lifestyle, just accepting that I'm DeMonte, I'm the shit talker, I might be a bully in some instances, but at the same time, like, I'm very loving and compassionate and honest, and I'm a leader, and I care about people, and I protect the people that I love. So it's like just accepting that, like, we're all multi-dimensional. Like, we all not one thing, despite how social media and people want to paint things. So I'm just a person that, like, lives in my truth, and I want to be a role model for other people to say, like, yo, it's okay to have feelings, or it's okay to make a mistake and bump your head, or it's okay that you might have needed to take this exam or this test to get to the next stage in your career, and you failed it. And I think once you just accept the fact that, damn, I failed, and you start to assess, what did I do wrong in this situation? What could I have done better? I feel like that opens the precedent for you to grow and keep moving forward in life. That's why it's called Failing Forward, because life is really just a series of experiences and lessons. And sometimes from the experience, you might win. Other times you're going to lose. But if you just won, you want to learn some of these valuable lessons. If me and Mike didn't go through that experience, we not sitting right here today. I don't learn what accountability is. And also, we don't get to teach y'all about how people can overcome these things and showcase love. So sometimes you do got to fall and like bump your head in order to set you on the path toward growth and becoming a better person. So that's what Failing Forward means to me. It's just like, just acknowledging that, like, we not perfect, man, and we gonna make mistakes. And, you know, some people might leave, but the people that love you, they never gonna leave you.
Facts.
And I think that's really all you need to worry about as you seek to just become a better person.
Agreed. Love that. Love that.
Thank you for asking that, bro. That was a perfect way to end the episode. And man, This was good, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna just stop talking and just close it, man. We probably got like 2 hours of footage, but I just want to say thank y'all for viewing, man. I really hope y'all watch this whole episode. Mike, you want them to follow you or what y'all want them to do?
Yeah, follow me at ZoMike509 on the gram. I'm gonna give my shout outs. James, Tay, Steve, Zay, Feet, Shirt, Mom. Love all y'all. Forever, ever. So
that's it. Yeah. Shout out to Super Future.
Yeah, I forgot Future on my list too, y'all. Super is another one. He get every emotion of me. Yeah. Like he could get me through a breakup, turn me up, calm me down, whatever I need.
From Super Future.
Super Future, man.
Well, all right, yeah. I'm gonna just say shout out to Mike, of course, for being here. Shout out to Shelly. Shout out to Nene. Shout out to Amir, shout out to James, shout out to Tim, shout out to Najee, and shout out to anybody that like been there for me, you know, in any type of way. Shout out to all my friends, shout out to Herbie Ford, shout out to Asia, shout out to everybody that has like, you know, blessed my life in like some type of way. I love y'all, man, and keep tuning into the channel, man. Subscribe. If you feel this episode, share it with a friend, man. Pass it along so we all could just be healing and growing and learning these lessons together. End it like that. I love y'all, and we'll see y'all soon.
Y'all too. Down for it.
That joint was great.
It was.
NFTs and things, investing all our dollars and hoping that freedom reigns. It's hard being us, but the talents cover the pain. Make it to the lead, but we still don't own the game. Way too many souls are tainted behind the fame. The parties in private mansions, they exchange some drinks. Corrupt the things you think, your life changing a blanket.